Hey, good morning, everybody. I'll go over to my community page and look at a picture that I'm going to post there after I do this video. I got that new tripod and all of the attachments to it, which I forgot. I counted, but I forgot now because I counted last night. And last night was a long time ago. But anyway, it's got like, I'm going to sit here and count them because it's sitting right in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 different attachments. And it's got a LED light bar up on top, which I probably will never use. I might try it just to experiment one day, but it's not charged up right now. It's got to get charged up. And the microphone has a 3.5 millimeter camera connection plug, and my camera doesn't have a 3.5 hole. So I went on Amazon last night, and I hardly ever buy anything online, but I know there's nothing like that around here. So I went on Amazon, and they have an adapter to go from 3.5 millimeter to whatever my camera is. So I ordered it, and it's supposed to be here. I think it said July 28th, something like that. I don't do the Amazon Prime because I might order one item a year, and that's not worth it. So, and the items I order are not expensive. I think that adapter I ordered last night was $8.98 plus $4 or $5 shipping. But anyway, the camera's on the tripod, and the adjustment for the tripod I kind of like. The idea I liked a lot, but getting it to work this morning was not so easy. It's a ball, and a socket, and that ball sits on that socket, and it's got a set screw on the side that you tighten. You roll the ball around, and the ball has a camera sitting on top of it. And you roll that ball around until you get the right angle this way and that way and that way and so forth, and then you tighten that set screw. I thought that was a good idea until I started trying to do it. It took me 45 minutes, well, maybe 2 minutes to get it perfect, and I wanted it perfect, and I think it's perfect. And it's got a remote for turning everything on and off, and I got the camera paired to the remote, but it's supposed to do everything for the camera, you know, turn the camera on and off, and what else? Take a picture and take a video, you know, begin a video, but I can't figure out how to work it. It's just got one button that I have found anyway, and all that one button does is turn it on and off and take a picture. I had to start the video by myself. Anyway, let me stop my ranting and get to reading, because that's what I'm here for. I'm anxious to try that microphone. I hope it works good. I don't like these things sticking in my ear all the time. But I wear these things all day long. You know, I can walk outside and go work in the garden with my phone going, playing a video, a sermon. I listen to sermons all day. And I can go out and work in the garden with the camera in here laying on the table and hear it all the way out there. If I walk all the way out to the alley, like when I take my trash out to get picked up by the trash company, sometimes it'll turn off, you know, disconnect going that far away, but that's a long way back there. So it's pretty good little, whatever you call those things. Looks like I'm from outer space or something. But anyway, let me get going here, y'all, and let me get comfy too. And I forgot to get me some water. I got some cold coffee here. Y'all know, I know a lot of y'all are on different parts of the world, but here, Jimmy Dean, it used to be a country music singer, also has a sausage company, and he makes good sausage, or his company makes good sausage. I like his Jimmy Dean breakfast pan sausage. That stuff is good. And he's got regular, mild, hot, and one with sage. And I like sage in sausage. When I used to make sausage, I'd put sage in it. And I always put stuff in it to make it hot. He needs to have a hot sage, but he doesn't. So when I'm doing queso dip, I'll buy one of sage and one of hot and mix them together. And it's good stuff. I make the best queso dip in the world. I took some to my doctor the other day. One day I went in the doctor's office, and she and her receptionist had a big bowl full of queso dip they were eating, and I told them I would make them a bowl of the best queso dip in the world. And I did just last week or week before, and took over to them. And it's good stuff, y'all. It's a feast. All right, let me get started here. I've already flapped my jaws for 6 minutes. Chapter 8 of 2nd Chronicles. And it came to pass at the end of the 20 years, when Solomon had built the house of the Lord and his own house, that the cities which Hiram had restored to Solomon built them, and caused the children of Israel to dwell there. And Solomon went to Hamath-Zobah, and prevailed against it. And he built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the store cities which he built in Hamath. Also he built Beth-horon the upper, and Beth-horon the nether, fenced cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baalath, and all the store cities that Solomon had, and all the chariot cities, and all the cities of the horsemen, and all that Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and throughout all the land of his dominion. As for all the people that were left of the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which were not of Israel. But of their children who were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel consumed not, them did Solomon make to pay tribute until this day. Both of the children of Israel did Solomon make no servants for his work, but they were men of war, and chief of his captains, and captains of his chariots and horsemen. And these were the chief of kings, King Solomon's officers, even 250 that bare rule over the people. And Solomon brought up the daughter of Pharaoh out of the city of David unto the house that he had built for her. For he said, My wife shall not dwell in the house of David, king of Israel, because the places are holy, whereunto the ark of the Lord hath come. Then Solomon offered burnt offerings unto the Lord on the altar of the Lord, which he had built before the porch, even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the commandment of Moses, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feast 3 times in the year, even in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And he appointed, according to the order of David his father, the courses of the priests to their service, and the Levites to their charges, to praise and minister before the priests, as the duty of every day required. The porters also by their course at every gate, for so had David, the man of God, commanded. And they departed not from the commandment of the king unto the priests and Levites concerning any matter or concerning the treasures. Now all the work of Solomon was prepared unto the day of the foundation of the house of the Lord, and until it was finished. So the house of the Lord was perfected. Then went Solomon to Ezion-Geber and to Eloth at the seaside in the land of Edom. And Huram sent him by the hands of his servant ships and servants that had knowledge of the sea, and they went with the servants of Solomon to Ophir, and took thence 450 talents of gold, and brought them to King Solomon. Chapter 9 of 2nd Chronicles. I'm not even looking at y'all. I'm sitting over here looking sideways, but I'm not going to try to move that tripod right now. Chapter 9. And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, she came to prove Solomon with hard questions at Jerusalem, with a very great company and camels that bear spices and gold in abundance and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions, and there was nothing hid from Solomon which he told her not. And when the king of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, his cup-bearers also, and their apparel, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, it was a true report which I heard in mine land of thine acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit, I believed not their words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the one half of the greatness of thy wisdom was not told me, for thou exceedest the fame that I heard. I look old today, y'all, and I feel good. I don't know what's going on with my looks. Y'all just look the other way, but keep listening. Happy are thy men, and happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee and hear thy wisdom. Be nice to have servants that way. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee to set thee on his throne, to be king for the Lord thy God, because thy God loved Israel, in to establish them forever. Therefore made he thee, T-H-E-E, king over them to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices great abundance, and precious stones. Neither was there any such spice as the queen of Sheba gave King Solomon. And the servants also of Huram, and the servants of Solomon, which brought gold from Ophir, brought algum trees and precious stones. And the king made of the algum trees terraces to the house of the Lord, and to the king's palace, and harps and psalteries for singers, and there were none such seen before in the land of Judah. And King Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, beside that which she had brought unto the king. So she turned and went away to her own land, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. that's a lot of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year. Besides that which chapmen and merchants brought, and all the kings of Arabia and governors of the country brought gold and silver to Solomon, and King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of beaten gold went to one target, and 300 shields were made of beaten gold. 300 shekels of gold went to one shield, and the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with pure gold. And there were 6 steps to the throne with a footstool of gold, which were fastened to the throne, and stays on each side of the sitting place, and 2 lions standing by the stays. And 12 lions stood there on the one side and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom, and all the drinking vessels of King Solomon were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. It was not anything accounted of in the days of Solomon, for the king's ships went to Tarshish with the servants of Huram. Every 3 years once came the ships of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes, and peacocks. And King Solomon passed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. And all the kings of the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom that God had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver, and vessels of gold, and raiment, and harness, and spices, horses, and mules, a rate year by year. And Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen whom he bestowed in chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. And he reigned over all the kings from the river even unto the land of the Philistines, and to the border of Egypt. And the king made silver in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar trees made he as the sycamore trees that are in the low plains in abundance. So they brought unto Solomon horses out of Egypt and out of all lands. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not written in the book of Nathan the prophet, and in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the visions of Iddo the seer against Jeroboam the son of Nebair? And Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and he was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. That's the end of chapters 8 and 9, y'all, and good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I hadn't heard that in a long time. And I doubt the creek's going to rise here, because I sit up on top of a hill and I don't even know where a creek is, and it hardly ever rains. But it has rained several times this week, and God's watering my garden for me. I appreciate that. All right, y'all. I'll be back when I'm back. I don't know when that'll be. Probably tonight sometime. God bless y'all.